Good morning, fellas. How we doing?
We are doing fantastic. We always love having you all, man. And it's a fun time right now in Philadelphia sports because it's our first chance to react to the win with you. And, of course, we're coming off of a sweep for the Phils against the Tampa Bay Rays. But let's start with the Birds, Kev. Would love to get your initial reactions to the Eagles' win over Green Bay last Friday. Feels like it's been a month.
There's a lot of good things from it. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is a godsend for this offense.
Oh, yeah.
He's so critical in taking some of that pressure off of Jalen Hurts, who I think sometimes Jalen got in a mode a year ago of I've got to carry the team. I've got to make that pass. And we saw a little bit of that, in the Friday night game. I put that into not a lot of preseason work, new offense, and just sometimes you feel like you got to be the man at all times. He doesn't have to be when you got 26 in the backfield. But, to me, that was like one of the positives. I thought the defense was fantastic in the red zone. They had to be. I mean, to give up only 9 points after those 3 turnovers, that says a hell of a lot. There's still some concerns, pass rush. Where's Bryce Huff? Where are we getting Sweat in there in the backfield? The one thing that really stood out, guys, I saw Jalen Hurts. I saw the numbers afterwards. He had a perfect quarterback rating with the blitz. Think about where we were a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
And then to see all that motion, there was over half their plays were motion plays. And to me, that's just the impact of Kellen Moore so far, which is a good thing.
By the way, Elle Duncan says the same thing sometimes with the 6 Sports Center. She feels like sometimes she has to do too much. Carry it and make the big thing. I'm just saying that's something for you two to see.
Then I'll be her Saquon. He doesn't have to do it all.
I want to talk about the defense, though, because I know from listening to you and talking to you over the years that defense has always sort of seems like it's your identity. Offense is cool, but as an Eagles fan, you identify with defense. Do you see the seeds of a defense that you can really be proud of?
Oh, man, yeah. Isn't it nice to have a middle linebacker, guys, who can make plays across all over, the 3 levels of the field? Like, that was refreshing. Quinyon Mitchell was really refreshing. First off, every time you saw him, my oldest, my 12-year-old, every time he made a play, my 12-year-old was like, I keep on thinking that's Malcolm Jenkins. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
27. I totally get that. And the way he's built. And he's also, there's a little dog in him, which I love. Like, first game, he wants to show out. He's talking. He's yapping. I love that. The slot position really concerns me. I want to see where Rodgers' health is because Maddox just didn't look like he was comfortable in that spot, and it felt like he was overmatched. But to me, there were signs. If you watch, Baldy does a great job. Brian Baldinger does
Fantastic.
a great job of looking at that. He cut up some tape of Jalen Carter. And if you just watch that film of Jalen Carter that he cut up, you're like, whoa, dude, this guy he was dominant that night. And then you just wonder what he could have done if that field the sod wasn't so bad. So to me, there was a lot of positives. They still give up the big play. There was still a lot of open spaces. But I've got faith in Fangio, and let's get some pass rush here against Kirk Cousins at home on Monday night.
I was just about to bring that up, the pass rush. So the field conditions were the field conditions, but I did see Green Bay get to Hurts, even though he did do a great job throwing against the blitz. The Eagles' pass rush wasn't necessarily getting to Jordan Love too much. Do you have any concerns after the Week 1 performance of guys like Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat, where you're going to have to rely on them a lot this season? Anything stand out to you positively or negatively?
Just where are they? Let's get them in the defense. Like they're gonna play a critical role, and if they don't, then we're gonna have some troubles. But that to me plays a big role here. And would we see some more, corner blitzes because we have to do corner blitzes to apply pressure? I'll be curious about how Fangio handles it. But right now, it's let's put it on the side. Let's put it on the first game. Let's kind of see how it is over the next couple of weeks with this pass rush before we. It was one of those observations. It's not an alert right now. Do you guys understand? To me, it's an observation because they won the game, and again, it was I just come back to, they were in real trouble after those 2 early turnovers. And for them to hold the Packers to just 6 points early on, it was a big, monumental leap from where they were a year ago.
When you took a look at the landscape, especially in their division, with the Commanders and the Giants being so poor, whether it's a rebuild or whether it's a burning building, I mean, isn't this a certain pressure on the Eagles to take advantage of this window of opportunity when the division is down to go and get better seeding and go and win a championship this year?
Without question. And to that point, John, I don't even think about the guys in the division. I think about what are the Lions doing and what are the 49ers doing.
Right.
Because in the end, guys, if you watch those 2 games, they're the 2 most physical teams in the league. They won physicality on both sides. Their lines both dominate. They take the identities of their coaches. So to me, more than anything else, the Eagles are competing not so much against the division. They're not competing against the Cowboys. They're competing against the 49ers and Lions. Because ultimately, you want to have home field advantage. And I know we're saying this after one game, but long term, you can't afford to play down to your opponent. You've got to beat the teams that are on your schedule and not worry about anybody else in the sense of, hey, what are the Commanders and Giants and the Cowboys doing? It's more like, where are the 49ers at? Where are specifically the Lions at? Because I think they're going to be their 2 biggest competitors.
Sticking with that, not the Eagles related and outside the NFC East, what is something that you learned in week 1 from the NFL that you think will continue as the season goes on?
I think the Bengals are in serious trouble. And I think their ownership, I think they have the worst owner in all of sports.
Wow.
And for him not to realize, they come cheap all the time, and for them not to take care of some of their guys like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and on the defensive side, I think the Bengals are in serious trouble. And I don't know how healthy Joe Burrow is. And they're staring at themselves at going 0-2, and that could be some, nothing will change in Cincinnati just because the ownership has just been that way, and I think they're extremely cheap. And that's my first observation when you're talking about, like, big picture NFL, teams that could compete, teams that are in the conversation. That's the one biggest takeaway after 1 week.
I know this is when I look at the landscape of the NFL, I look at, you brought up like Joe Burrow. Is there a lot of strong opinions on players that are sometimes drawn too quickly? Do you think Burrow's one of those guys? Do you think opinions have already been drawn on Jalen Hurts and who he is?
That's interesting that you bring it up because I think everybody gives, Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts have the one loss in the Super Bowl, both
Sure.
of them. And both of them were in very close games, and both of them felt like they were in a position to win those games, right? But it feels like sometimes Joe Burrow's given the benefit of the doubt that he's not afraid of anything because he's won in Arrowhead and he's gone head-to-head against the Chiefs. I don't think that benefit of the doubt is given to Hurts. But Hurts got a lot to prove. Can I say one other thing about Friday night?
Yeah.
Can we just scratch the RPO? I'm done.
I'm done with it.
I
too.
agree with you, dude.
No one's believing that first step fake, and that's okay. That's all right. But we don't need to constantly do it when you have the option at 26. I just don't want to do the RPO anymore. I don't see where it benefits. You could still have play calls where Hurts runs the draw up the middle. That's fine. I just don't think you're going to create any space or defensive hesitation or respect on that RPO run. Just pitch it out to 26 and let him cook. There's a reason why you're spending the money you spent for him.
Kevin, are we feeling better about the Phillies?
Yeah, it's just, why I feel a little bit better? First off, it's good to see Schwarber continue, and Trey Turner, when he hits in bunches. But really, like, just seeing Bryce get extra base hits, that's a big deal. Seeing other guys help, like guys that weren't even on the roster.
Cal Stevenson, man, Buddy Kennedy.
It's a lot of fun. Cody Clemens, like the three guys you just mentioned, we needed those guys this week, and I don't think anybody's like would have brought those guys up for September. So yeah, I find it interesting with the schedule makers because the Mets are a really hot baseball team, and you got the Mets, I think, 7 times in the next few weeks, and the Mets are fighting the Braves for that last wild card spot, so they're going to be coming to play. So the Phillies can't they can't rest up in the final 2 weeks. They got to still handle their business. But I feel a little bit better. I'd like to see more from Ranger.
Does the number one seed does number one seed matter to you? Because what I would point out to people is the last few years, the last two games, the last two crushing losses at Citizens Bank Park, they haven't shown up for any of those 4 games. So I think we may overstate the importance of having that home field.
It is funny. The only reason why I want a top 2 bye is for resting up. But we all know that last year and the year before, it was built-in excuses on why a team like the Braves were to lose because they were rusty and the Phillies came in hot, right? So it can work to your own narrative on how you want to explain getting a seeding in the playoffs, right? Because last year we worked it like, hey man, we were red hot because we had to win every game, and we didn't take that week off like the Braves did, right? So I don't know. I just think about the scene. If we're in an NLCS with the Dodgers, I'd like to have Game 7 at home, right? Just with that environment and that scene, that experience. I'd like to have that regardless. So the 1 seed is still, to me, important just because I never count out the fans at the bank no matter what. And speaking of that, the fans, I just want to remind everybody, Monday Night Football, XL Center, from what I hear, we're blowing the doors out with our coverage with ESPN via down there.
I was just about to ask you about it.
Be there.
I was just about to ask you about it. Are you involved at all with this?
Man,
it is your team.
I get to enjoy a Monday night with my kids watching the game.
Yep.
That's perfect.
I entertain the idea of going down, but I really enjoy some of my Mondays off with the kids because I work all day Saturday.
Now, Kevin, I will say this. It is cool and all that Jason Kelce will be there and some of the other members of ESPN, but what people don't realize is you guys are fighting an uphill battle because the Fanatic Birds pregame show with Andrew Salciunas and Connor Thomas and Bill Colarulo will also be there.
Yeah, so you guys
are fighting an uphill battle there. Yeah. You're coming on our turf
behind the 8 ball, and that's the problem. And that's kind of one of the big reasons why that we signed Jason Kelce because we targeted this specific Monday night. Said, listen,
we need to fight. We need to fight those guys over there.
Yeah, we've got to figure this out because Tunis is leading the way there. So it's at Xfinity Live. I know the place will be crazy. Wherever you're at, tailgating anywhere, it's the home opener.
Damn right.
It's Monday night. Plenty of reason to just start drinking at 9 a.m, listening to you guys, all the way leading into watching them win that game.
Kevin, you're the man.